My name is Gerard van der Waal. I'm the Communication Officer at EUCAM, the European Centre for Monitoring Alcohol Marketing. My presentation is called the 2013 Status Quo of Regulating Online Alcohol Marketing. In my presentation I will give some advice on the EUCAM position on the best practice of regulating online alcohol marketing, but this presentation is more intended with the idea of showing you what is currently going on the front of regulating online alcohol marketing, both in self-regulation as well as statutory regulations. In preparation of this presentation, I looked into some of the biggest self-regulatory codes to see what they say about regulating online alcohol marketing. So I looked at the Brewers of Europe Responsible Commercial Communication Guidelines for the brewing industry, the EASA Guidelines for the Development of Responsible Marketing Communications, the Diageo Marketing Code, the Heineken Rules on Responsible Commercial Communication, as well as SAP-Miller's Policy on Commercial Communication. All of them, except the Brewers of Europe, have specific articles dedicated to online alcohol restrictions. Some, like Heineken and SAP-Miller, even have separate documents dedicated to the issue. However, I was not able to find the document of Heineken, the policy on the use of social media. A recent development in online self-regulation is that industry, in its codes, has largely committed to monitor and moderate user-generated content on their official pages, with the same rules and regulations as their commercial messages. So we see that the Brewers of Europe, and as far as we know Heineken, have not made any rules on this yet. Why this is important I will get to later in my presentation. This is perhaps not very unexpected, but all of the codes commit to asking visitors to provide their date of birth. And lastly, when I looked at the codes, I saw that all but the Brewers of Europe have articles restricting the placement of digital ads to web environments where the audience consists for at least 70% of people of the legal drinking age or the legal purchasing age, or if no laws on the legal drinking or purchasing age are available, they say that 70% of the audience should be at least above 18 years of age. Alright, now when we look at the practical side of self-regulatory system, this is something we have time and again found to be ineffective for the goal of protecting young people against alcohol advertising exposure. This is also the case for online alcohol marketing. This is a system that is inherently in favor of the industry, and that leads to some particular problems. Firstly, we see that many of the content restrictions are similar to their traditional media counterparts. So, for instance, we have faced a problem of complaining about ads that seem to be very attractive to children, where the advertising committee will not uphold the complaints because the ads aren't specifically attractive to children. What you see in this slide is a screenshot of a downloadable screensaver from the Dutch brand Vlugel, which was deemed by the advertising committee to be too childlike to actually be attractive to children. And just like in traditional media, we see that the self-regulation codes for online alcohol marketing emphasize the inclusion of responsible drinking messages. However, in practice we see that in comparison to the industry's advertising messages, these responsibility messages are far less visible. In his 2011 study, Every Day, Everywhere, Alcohol Marketing and Social Media Current Trends, published in the journal Alcohol and Alcoholism, researcher James Nichols monitored 10 brands on Facebook and Twitter for a set period of time and found that no Facebook posts explicitly recommended moderate or responsible drinking. Only 2 brands had included a permanent responsible drinking message with a link to the Drink Aware website on their wall or launch page. Additionally, Bacardi uploaded 6 responsible drinking tweets to their Twitter feed, and Smirnoff uploaded 1 tweet reminding drinkers to get home safely. In the case of Bacardi, those were also mixed messages, or you could call them strategically ambiguous. One tweet from Bacardi said, "Celebrate Mojito Monday responsibly." However, this was followed after posts stating, "Who is ready for mojitos? And it's never too cold for a mojito. Happy Mojito Monday." Then there is a new trend that I want to discuss. This is a very smart and also worrisome trend. And the industry has called it heritage advertising. This year, Alcohol Action Ireland tried to complain to the ASAI, the Advertising Standards Authority for Ireland, about an ad for Bulmers ciders, which may suggest that Bulmers can contribute to social and business success. The ad was found on YouTube as well as Bulmers.ie, the official Bulmers website. This notwithstanding, the complaint was not further investigated by the ASAI, since they considered the commercial to be heritage advertising and the YouTube upload of the commercial was done by an individual. However, in early 2012, the ASAI updated its codes to include the following. This extension of the digital remit of the code ASAI states that the code does not apply to heritage advertising where the advertisement is not part of the advertisement's current promotional strategy and is published in an appropriate context. This new exclusion may result in past advertising campaigns being non-compliant. The ASAI, however, created this rule because of the role that advertisements play in Ireland's social history and because websites provide the facility to ensure heritage advertising is placed in an appropriate context. So the commercial on Bulmers.ie is perceived by the ASAI appropriately placed for heritage advertising since it is not placed on the home page and no attention is drawn to it. You can see the ad on this slide. By the way, consequently, no complaints can be filed on all advertisements that are no longer part of the current marketing strategy of the alcohol industry, but these advertisements can still be shown to the public on internet and thereby promote alcohol consumption because of their historical heritage. This practically means that you can put anything on the internet without concern for any of your regulations as long as you coin it heritage advertising. In Ireland, we have learned that similar cases were identified for several other brands, including Carlsberg. So this is an example that we found on YouTube of a commercial by Carlsberg, which was A, not uploaded by Carlsberg itself, and B, part of an old campaign, and thus it may be posted on their official page or their Facebook page without having to meet any of the self-regulation code requirements. And another problem that we have encountered when trying to react on online ads, which seem to be in breach of the codes, is that they were not officially aimed at the particular market that we were complaining from. So we learned again from the Irish example where a complaint was filed against alcohol ads on the Hennessy Facebook page, which was dropped because the ad was apparently posted on the US Hennessy Facebook page and not the Irish one. So here we have the Hennessy US website, and you can see that an Irish adolescent or anybody in Ireland would be able to visit this page and perhaps say that Nas, the famous rapper, has released 9 consecutive platinum and multi-platinum albums. And he likes Hennessy. He doesn't make a secret of that if you listen to his music. One and one is two, and you think perhaps that's reason for complaint. Well, no, because it is not the Irish Hennessy page. The same thing happened with ads on the global Budweiser page, which was operated from the US, and the Heineken global page, which also falls outside the jurisdiction of the ASAI. So this is a problem that is in particular an issue for countries with languages that are spoken in multiple countries. And also, this is a good argument for instating pan-international rules. Now I'm going to look at the problem of user-generated contents. We see that most of the codes state a form of responsibility or accountability for the user-generated content on the industry's website. While this seems to be a very welcome development, we see that websites still set users up to comment in ways that aren't always prime examples of moderate consumption. In this Facebook post by Australian beer brand Victoria Bitter, the site officials asked the consumers, "What time is your beer o'clock?" As you can see in this slide, almost all reactions indicate that any time is a good time for beer. 1 minute after you wake up, as one person suggests. Yeah. Same kind of reaction was also found on the Budweiser Facebook page, where somebody says that the Budweiser would be his kind of breakfast. This June, an article was published in the Journal of Public Affairs by Sven Broodmerkel, looking at Australian Facebook pages before the Australian Self-Regulation Organisation decided that user-generated content is the responsibility of alcohol-branded site owners in September 2012. Broodmerkel found that many user comments were vilifying and sexually degrading in nature, as well as frequently referred to drinking in large quantities and becoming drunk. It seems that these kind of messages are, however, being deleted by site officials in an effort to moderate the pages according to self-regulation codes. The last thing, which seems to be a good thing, on first sight perhaps, is age affirmation and verification. However, as you will see, there's a lot of problems connected to this. The aim of such affirmations is, of course, to determine that the user is above 18 years of age or of legal drinking or purchasing age. The practice, however, is that age affirmation poses a problem due to social desirable answers. Kids that want to enter an alcohol-branded website know which kind of dates they need to enter to be able to proceed. This means they are unlikely to honestly fill in their real date of birth, but instead provide one from someone that is of legal drinking age. So here are some of these pages. There's Budweiser, where you can fill in your birthday. Here's Heineken. Here is Hennessy. And lastly, I looked for an example because I know that they are out there, where they make it even easier for you. So don't give your date, just say that you accept and enter the website, just like it does on the Singa Beer International website. User profiles really aren't reliable. Kids lie about their age when they want to enter websites, and it's backed by a study by the London School of Economics. You have to be at least 13 years of age to be able to create a Facebook account. Yet 21% of Irish kids between 9 and 12 seem to have a Facebook profile. Almost half of this age group admitted to faking the ages on their profiles, so basing the placement of your advertisements on such figures is very inaccurate. Another development is that SubMiller in their document on self-regulating digital alcohol advertising dictates the use of cookies so that when you enter once, you are not, and when you are not of age to enter the website, you will not have another chance to enter your info um, and perhaps give another date when you reload these pages. On first glance, this sounds really helpful, but as you will see, there are major problems with this. The big problem being that the cookies work both ways. When you tell the site you're a minor, it will remember this and bar you from the site. However, when you are an adult or lie that you are an adult, it will also remember this and you will not be prompted to enter your age again when you reload the page. So how this works in practice, I've got an example here. I went to the Italian Peroni website, which is part of SubMiller, and I started out by entering the birth date of the 1st of January 2000. When I clicked enter, I was redirected to the Italian Talking Alcohol portal, and when I typed in peroni.it again, I got redirected here again. Now after I deleted my cookies and came back, I filled in my real birth date, July 28th, 1983, and I received access to the Peroni website. Now as soon as I type in peroni.it again, I bypass the age verification page and immediately land inside the home page. So this goes to show the weakness of cookies in age verification systems. Another suggestion by SubMiller is stems from its policy on commercial communication. It's to verify consumer data against government databases. This would mean that instead of entering your birth date, you enter a passport number or the number in your driver's license, which they can then check with the government to see whether or not you are of legal age to enter the site. This system is in place in the US for tobacco websites, and to our knowledge it is not used in Europe. The reason that it does not seem to be used in Europe may lie in that such a system would provide the producers with valuable marketing or consumer data. It would be data of people who actively opt in, but still, providing such information is a big weak point of this kind of system. Lastly, SubMiller also says that their websites should support parental control software. In my preparations for this presentation, I installed one of these programs, and indeed it blocked brand websites of alcohol producers. So that's a good thing. However, it's unclear whether this was blocked because the software is actively filtering out the content or because the websites use tags specifically intended for the software to be recognized. And be that as it may, I do not think that we need to applaud an alcohol company who decides to support parental control software. I think a process like this should be simple common sense for every responsible website. Lastly, on the self-regulation side of things, I want to pay some attention to the problems that surround measurements supporting the placement of ads on websites where 70% of the audience is above legal drinking or purchasing age. Most codes have formulated a protocol for measuring audience attendance in a set period of time to see if the audience consists of at least 70% of people of over 18 years of age or above the legal drinking or purchasing age. However, these measurements aren't always readily available, and that's where things get troublesome. Where such figures aren't available, the industry falls back on registered user databases. While we have just seen how unreliable age information is in such user profiles. In the case of Diageo, as a last resort, the corporate relations department decides whether or not a website is suitable for placement of alcohol ads. So instead of relying on any kind of measurement, all that we can do is trust the industry to do the right thing. A preferable alternative to self-regulation, in the opinion of UCAN, along with many other NGOs and researchers, is statutory regulations embedded in the law. So next up, I will show you what's currently going on in Lithuania, Russia, and Finland on this front. Now in Lithuania, we see a situation where self-regulation content, along with some volume restrictions, have been embedded in the law. As such, among other articles, the law states that alcohol advertising is prohibited, which is aimed at underage people, contains famous people, links consumption to better physical condition or enhanced sexual activity, links consumption to social success or the solution of personal problems, presents immoderate consumption as advantageous, presents abstinence as negative, and presents false or misleading information. Now in Lithuania, alcohol marketing is monitored by a team of 6 civil servants who also prepare the complaints. So you can imagine that that's quite a lot of work for such a small team. As such, this is a very cumbersome, costly, and time-consuming undertaking. And any government reaction to ban an ad and find a producer is made after the fact, when the harm is already done. However, there are some victories to report. Here I present some examples of complaints that were upheld on online alcohol marketing. The first is a case where famous people are used in online alcohol advertising, and the second one pertains to certain key phrases like magic, health, risky drinking, youth, free time, etc., which were used despite it being prohibited to use these phrases in alcohol advertising. So the team in Lithuania is on some level successful. However, it is a very hard work that they are doing. Now for our second example, I'd like to point your attention to Russia, which since last year has massively increased restrictions on alcohol marketing in general and introduced a ban specifically on online alcohol marketing on Russian websites. While the whole setup of this ban sounds really good, our communications with Russian NGOs showed that there was no systematic monitoring, which made the enforcement of this law troublesome. Consequently, initially this led to very few complaints and even less that were actually upheld. Last year, however, the Russian government started supporting a non-commercial organization to do monitoring, file complaints, and use a freely available hotline for civilians to complain. My contact at this Safe Internet League told me that in 2013 they had received 309 reports on online alcohol ads. However, I have not had the chance to verify what happened afterwards with these reports. However, if I do find out anything of interest, I will post that in addition to this video. Another interesting development in Russia, which seems to be the brainchild of the Safe Internet League, is the Clean Internet experiment. This is a corporate experiment between the Safe Internet League, the government of the Kostroma region, and all 29 Kostroma internet providers, which began last February, in which internet users can opt in to automatically block harmful sites. Specifically, this project in experiment is aimed against online pedophiles and child pornography, but including sites that are against the law, such as, since last year, alcohol ad sites. As we have just found out the existence of this experiment, EUCAM is not quite sure yet what to make of this initiative, but we look forward to learning how this influences online exposure to alcohol advertisements and whether or not this outweighs any of the possible downsides of such an information blockade. I think that currently the most interesting thing happening in ways of legally restricting online alcohol marketing, and specifically aiming that at social media, is what's planned for 2014 in Finland. The plan here is to ban interactive advertising prohibiting gaming elements on websites. where it concerns alcohol marketing. Also, the interaction option with users seems to become very thoroughly restricted. However, one of the upcoming presentations on this website will be done by Mr. Ismo Tuominen, who is responsible for writing this law, so if you want to learn more about this, please keep your eyes peeled on this site. All these interesting situations and developments aside, I have to say it again, the best option to curtail youth exposure to alcohol advertising is a comprehensive alcohol advertising ban, which would also include online alcohol marketing. Concluding, I have to say that there are many self-regulation initiatives. However, the effectiveness of those is quite questionable. Content restrictions online have the same shortcomings as their traditional media counterparts. Also, we see new inventions in self-regulatory codes that are clearly in favor of alcohol advertisers and not at all at public health support. Also, self-regulation has not found an effective way to block their marketing messages from minors yet. While there are interesting developments in the preferable realm of legal restrictions, those are in many cases hard to enforce. So therefore UCAM argues that a total ban on alcohol advertising is the best way to protect youngsters from exposure to alcohol marketing and attractive ads. This is the end of my presentation. If you have questions concerning this presentation or any other questions concerning alcohol marketing or the regulation thereof, or specifically online alcohol marketing, you can always contact me at ucam@ucam.info, or you can find us on Twitter. We are at ucam1, or you can find us on Facebook. We are Facebook/alcohol marketing. Thank you for your interest and have a good day.